Hey there, everyone. I hope you're all having a moment where the universe feels like it's whispering something special just for you. You know those days when everything aligns and you get that little shiver down your spine, like destiny's knocking at your door? Well, buckle up because today we're diving into something that's going to stir your soul and maybe even shift your perspective on what's coming your way. I offer personal tarot readings tailored exactly to your situation, one-on-one insights that dive deep into what's going on for you right now. The prices for these custom spreads are super affordable at the moment, so it's a great time to reach out. All my contact details are pinned in the comments below. What hidden pain from your past did the clairvoyant see that brought tears to his eyes? You know, when the energies started flowing through the cards, it was like peeling back layers of an onion that had been buried deep in the soil for years, each layer revealing a sting that hits right in the chest. The clairvoyant caught glimpses of this quiet ache from way back, maybe from a time when you were younger and the world felt bigger and scarier than it should have. It's not the dramatic stuff like a huge tragedy broadcast on the news, but those subtle hurts that linger, like a promise broken by someone you trusted implicitly, perhaps a family member or a close friend who let you down in a way that reshaped how you see loyalty. He saw echoes of nights spent wondering why things unfolded that way, the kind of pain that doesn't scream but whispers doubts into your decisions even now. Tears welled up because he felt the weight of how that unresolved sting has been coloring your choices, making you hesitate where you might otherwise charge forward. It's like carrying a backpack full of old letters you never sent, each one a reminder of words left unsaid, and the clairvoyant empathized so deeply with that human fragility, the way we all hold on to these invisible scars that shape our paths without us even realizing it sometimes. But intertwined with that sorrow was a thread of healing potential, like the cards hinting that acknowledging this pain could finally lighten the load, turning it from a burden into a lesson that empowers rather than hinders. He wept for the innocence lost in that moment, for the part of you that still yearns for closure, and for how close you are to finding it if you just turn inward and listen to what your heart's been trying to say all along. Are there unresolved emotions in your heart that made him weep as he gazed into your future? Unresolved emotions? Oh, they're there, bubbling under the surface like a pot that's been left on a low simmer for too long, threatening to boil over if not tended to. The clairvoyant peered ahead and saw these tangled feelings, perhaps remnants of a love that ended abruptly or a disappointment that cut deeper than expected, casting long shadows over what's coming next. It's not that your future is doomed or anything catastrophic like that. Rather, he sensed how these emotions are like weeds in a garden, choking out the new growth before it can fully bloom. Tears came because he felt the frustration of it all, the way you're navigating life with this emotional baggage that makes every step a bit heavier, every opportunity tinged with caution. Picture it. Upcoming chances for joy, like new relationships or career shifts, but these old feelings pop up like uninvited guests, whispering doubts and fears that stem from past heartaches. He cried for the potential that's right there, waiting to be seized, yet held back by these invisible threads. It's the kind of stuff that makes you second-guess yourself, like wondering if you're worthy of happiness after whatever went wrong before. But the cards also whispered of release, moments where confronting these emotions head-on could clear the path, turning tears of sorrow into ones of relief. The clairvoyant empathized with that inner conflict, the push and pull between holding on for safety and letting go for freedom, and it moved him profoundly, seeing how human we all are in our hesitations. What secret burden you're carrying alone caused the clairvoyant to cry during the reading? This secret burden, it's like a shadow that follows you everywhere, not loud or obvious, but persistent, weighing on your shoulders in ways only you truly feel. The clairvoyant tuned into it during the spread, and it hit him like a wave. Perhaps it's a responsibility you've taken on silently, like supporting someone emotionally without them knowing the toll it takes, or maybe a personal goal you've been pursuing in solitude, fraught with self-imposed pressures. He saw how you've been soldiering on, keeping it all bottled up because sharing might feel like weakness or burdening others. Tears flowed because he glimpsed the isolation in that, the quiet heroism mixed with exhaustion, like running a marathon with no finish line in sight. It's not something flashy. It could be financial worries you've hidden from loved ones, or emotional scars from a failure you blame yourself for disproportionately. The energies revealed how this burden seeps into your daily life, making smiles a bit forced, sleep a bit restless. He wept for the strength it takes to carry it alone, for the moments when you wish for a confidant but hold back. Yet the cards hinted at allies appearing, people or circumstances that could share the load if you allow vulnerability. It's that mix of admiration for your resilience and sorrow for the unnecessary solitude that brought the emotion, reminding us how secrets can both protect and imprison. Is there a lost opportunity in your life that overwhelmed him with sadness? A lost opportunity does linger in the vibes, one that slipped away not through fault, but through timing or circumstances beyond control, and it struck the clairvoyant with a profound wave of melancholy. He saw it clearly. Maybe a chance at a dream job that vanished due to external factors, or a relationship that could have blossomed but faded because life pulled you in different directions. It's the kind of thing that replays in quiet moments. What if you'd said yes, or pushed harder? Tears came as he felt the ripple effects, how that missed turn has influenced your current path, perhaps leading to detours that feel longer than necessary. Not in a regretful, beating yourself up way, but more like a gentle ache for what might have been. The cards showed echoes of that potential unrealized, like a door left ajar but never fully opened, and it overwhelmed him with empathy for the human experience of timing's cruelty. But it's not all loss. He sensed lessons embedded there, growth from the redirection that might lead to even better horizons. Still, the sadness stemmed from seeing how close it was, how it shaped your self-view subtly, making you more cautious now. He cried for that universal pang of almost, the way we all have those sliding doors moments that define us without defining our worth. What deep regret lurking in your soul triggered his emotional response? Deep regret. It's there, nestled in the quieter corners of your being, not the surface-level oops moments, but something that tugs at the soul strings. Perhaps a choice made in haste that affected someone dear, or a path not taken that haunts in hindsight. The clairvoyant tapped into it, and it triggered a rush of emotion because he felt the self-forgiveness that's been elusive, like you're still punishing yourself inwardly for what feels like an irreparable misstep. Tears welled up as he saw the chain reaction. How this regret colors your interactions, making you overcompensate or withdraw to avoid similar pain. It's subtle, maybe tied to a family decision or a career pivot that didn't pan out as hoped, leaving echoes of, "I should have known better." He empathized with that inner critic, the one that replays scenarios late at night, amplifying the regret into something larger than it needs to be. But the cards offered a balm, hints of redemption through current actions, ways to honor that past by living more authentically now. The emotional response came from recognizing how common this is, yet how personally devastating. Weeping for the soul's journey through forgiveness that's just within reach if you extend grace to yourself. Are you facing a heartbreak that the clairvoyant couldn't hold back tears over? Heartbreak looms in the energies, not the fresh, raw kind that's all-consuming, but a simmering one that's been building, perhaps from a bond that's fraying or expectations unmet in love or friendship. The clairvoyant couldn't hold back because he sensed the vulnerability in it, the way your heart has been opening up only to face walls or mismatches. It's like investing in a garden that withers despite your care, and tears came for the disappointment that follows. He saw potential fallout, emotional withdrawals, nights of reflection where the pain sharpens focus on what's missing. Not catastrophic, but poignant, affecting how you approach connections moving forward. The cards revealed layers, maybe miscommunications piling up, or incompatible timings that pull apart what could align. He wept for the tenderness exposed, the human need for reciprocity that's going unfulfilled right now. Yet, amidst the sorrow, glimmers of healing appeared, like new beginnings post-storm, if you navigate with self-compassion. The emotion overflowed from feeling that ache vicariously, a reminder of love's fragility. What family secret revealed itself and made him tear up? No family secret of the hidden skeleton in the closet variety popped up in the reading. Instead, the cards pointed to more of an open wound that's been acknowledged but not fully healed, like ongoing tensions or unspoken expectations within the family dynamic that carry their own weight. The clairvoyant teared up over the subtleties, perhaps generational patterns of communication breakdowns or roles you've assumed that feel burdensome without being secretive. It's the kind of thing where everyone knows but no one addresses, leading to quiet resentments. He felt the emotional toll, the way it influences your sense of belonging or independence. Tears for the love that's there but tangled in misunderstandings, making family gatherings bittersweet. The energies suggested evolution, opportunities to break cycles without dramatic revelations. His response stemmed from empathy for familial bonds' complexities, weeping not for shock, but for the slow burn pain of what's left unsaid. Is there a betrayal from someone close that hit him so hard he cried? Betrayal from a close one isn't dominating the spread. Rather, the clairvoyant picked up on subtler disloyalties, like small letdowns that accumulate over time, eroding trust without a single explosive event. He cried hard over the cumulative effect, seeing how these minor breaches, maybe a friend who prioritized themselves repeatedly or a partner who didn't show up emotionally, have left you guarded. It's not the knife in the back drama, but the paper cuts that sting cumulatively. Tears for the disappointment in human connections, the way expectations clash with reality. The cards showed resilience building from this, lessons in boundaries, but the sorrow was for the innocence chipped away. He empathized with the quiet rebuilding, weeping for the heart's capacity to hope despite hurts. What unhealed wound from childhood surfaced and brought on his tears? An unhealed wound from childhood did surface, faint but persistent, like a scar that itches on rainy days. Perhaps feelings of not being seen or heard in ways that mattered, shaping your adult self-perception. The clairvoyant felt it deeply, tears coming as he glimpsed how this early experience influences current insecurities, making achievements feel hollow or relationships tentative. It's not always the big traumas. Sometimes it's the absence of affirmation or stability that lingers. He wept for the child within still seeking validation, for how it manifests in overachieving or withdrawing. The energies revealed paths to nurturing that inner child now, turning wounds into wisdom. His emotion poured out from connecting with that universal vulnerability, the echoes of youth in our present. Are you on the brink of a major loss that the clairvoyant foresaw with sorrow? You're not teetering on the edge of a major loss that would upend everything. Instead, the cards hinted at transitions that feel like endings, but are more like evolutions, such as outgrowing certain phases or relationships without the dramatic severance. The clairvoyant foresaw sorrow in the bittersweet nature of change, tears for the letting go required, perhaps a job shift or fading connection that's necessary for growth but tugs at the heart. It's the impermanence of life that hit him, the way we cling to familiarity even when it's time to move on. He cried for the grief and release, but also for the promise beyond. The spread emphasized preparation, turning potential sorrow into graceful acceptance. What unfulfilled potential in you brought tears to his eyes? The clairvoyant really felt this one hit hard. There's this bright, vibrant potential inside you that's been sitting on the shelf for longer than it deserves, like a beautiful instrument gathering dust because life keeps handing you other priorities. He saw flashes of talents or passions that light you up when you let them, maybe creative pursuits, intellectual curiosities, or even leadership qualities that come naturally but get buried under daily grind or self-doubt. Tears came because he glimpsed how close you are to unleashing it all, yet how circumstances, fears, or just plain habit have kept it locked away. It's not that you've failed. It's more like you've been playing small to stay safe, and that contrast between what you could be doing and what you're currently doing stirred something deep in him. He sensed the frustration you carry quietly, those moments when inspiration strikes but you push it aside thinking, "Not now," or "Who am I to chase that?" The cards showed vivid scenes of alternate paths where that potential blooms into something fulfilling, meaningful contributions, deeper satisfaction, and he wept for the gap between that vision and your present reality. Not in judgment, but in pure compassion for how human it is to dim our own light sometimes. Still, the energies carried hope, little nudges towards small steps that could start cracking that door open again, turning dormant gifts into active forces. His tears were for the soul that's hungry for expression, for the version of you waiting patiently in the wings, ready to step forward if given permission. Is there a relationship ending that he foresaw with deep sadness? A relationship ending isn't looming like a sudden storm. What he saw was more of a slow, almost inevitable drifting apart that's already in motion, and that gradual fading hit him with a heavy sadness. Perhaps it's romantic, or maybe a deep friendship or family tie that's losing its warmth over time, not because of big fights or betrayals, but because people change, needs evolve, and alignment slips away quietly. He felt the melancholy of shared history slowly turning into memories rather than present connection, the way laughter that once came easy now feels forced or rare. Tears flowed as he tuned into your side of it, the part where you notice the distance growing. Try to bridge it sometimes, but sense it's not fully reciprocated anymore. It's heartbreaking in its subtlety. No dramatic goodbye scene, just a realization that the chapter is closing naturally. The clairvoyant cried for the love that was real, for the good times that deserve honoring even as they fade, and for the loneliness that creeps in when someone important starts occupying less space in your life. Yet the spread didn't show total devastation. It whispered of space opening up afterward, room for new bonds that fit who you're becoming now. His sorrow came from feeling how tender hearts are, how we grieve even the soft endings, and how much courage it takes to accept when holding on no longer serves either person. What self-doubt plaguing you made him emotional during the spread? Self-doubt is running like a quiet background program in your system, not always loud, but always there, whispering just enough to make you question your worth, your choices, your place. The clairvoyant picked up on it strongly. This inner voice that second-guesses achievements, downplays strengths, and magnifies perceived flaws until they feel enormous. He saw how it shows up in small ways, hesitating before speaking up, over-apologizing, or avoiding risks that deep down you know you could handle. Tears came because he felt the exhaustion of carrying that critic around, the way it robs joy from victories and turns neutral situations into proof of inadequacy. It's like wearing tinted glasses that make everything look dimmer than it is, and he empathized so deeply with how draining that constant internal battle can be. The cards revealed specific triggers, perhaps past criticisms that stuck, comparisons to others, or moments where you felt overlooked, all feeding this loop. He wept for the brilliant, capable person underneath who's being held back by beliefs that aren't even fully true anymore. But there was light in the reading, too. Glimpses of you starting to challenge that voice, moments of self-compassion breaking through, and potential for rewriting the narrative if you keep nurturing kinder thoughts toward yourself. His emotion poured out from recognizing how many people wrestle with this same shadow, yet how uniquely painful it feels when it's your own mind turning against you. Are you suppressing grief that surfaced and caused him to cry? Grief is being held in check, not the loud, sobbing kind, but the quiet, chronic kind that you push down to keep functioning. Maybe over a loss that's not always acknowledged as grief by others, like the end of a dream, a changed identity, or even cumulative disappointments adding up. The clairvoyant felt it rise during the reading like a tide that had been held back too long, and when it surfaced, the tears weren't just yours in spirit. They became his, too. He saw how you've learned to compartmentalize, to smile through it, to tell yourself it's not that bad, or others have it worse, but the energy doesn't lie. That sorrow is real, and it's asking for space. Crying came from sensing the toll of suppression. Physical tiredness, emotional flatness, moments where joy feels muted because part of you is still mourning. It could tie to a specific event years ago, or a slow accumulation of unmet hopes. But either way, it's heavy. He wept for the courage it takes to keep going while carrying that, for the loneliness of grieving privately when the world expects you to move on already. The spread offered gentle permission, tears as release rather than weakness, rituals or conversations that could help honor what's been lost without drowning in it. His response was pure empathy for how grief lingers when unexpressed, and how healing begins the moment we stop fighting its presence. What environmental challenge in your life overwhelmed the clairvoyant? Environmental challenges showed up not as global catastrophes directly touching you, but as personal disruptions tied to your surroundings. Perhaps instability in your living situation, noise or chaos in your daily space, or even broader feelings of disconnection from nature that leave you ungrounded. The clairvoyant felt overwhelmed by how much your environment influences your inner state right now, like trying to bloom in soil that's too dry or too crowded. Tears came as he sensed the subtle stress it creates. Difficulty finding peace at home, constant adaptation to changes around you, or longing for a sanctuary that feels safe and nurturing. It's draining when your outer world doesn't support your inner calm, and he picked up on that fatigue, the way it seeps into sleep, focus, mood, maybe moves on the horizon or current spaces that no longer fit who you are, making everyday life feel like an uphill effort. He cried for how fundamental a sense of belonging to your surroundings is, yet how often we overlook its impact until it becomes loud. But the energies also carried ideas for small shifts, creating corners of calm, seeking greener spaces, or even symbolic acts of reclaiming your environment that could ease the pressure. His sorrow stemmed from feeling how vulnerable we are to our settings, how much they shape our capacity to thrive. Is there a creative block that's stifling you, bringing him to tears? A creative block is definitely present, and it felt stifling to the clairvoyant, like a river that's been dammed up, with all that water pressure building behind it but nowhere to flow. He saw your natural creative spark, the way ideas used to come easily or how certain outlets once brought deep fulfillment, now met with resistance, blank pages, or that frustrating, why bother feeling. Tears welled up because he tuned into the pain of being disconnected from something that feeds your soul, the way suppression of creativity can make everything else feel a little colorless. It's not laziness, it's fear, perfectionism, exhaustion, or life crowding out the space needed for play and expression. He felt the inner conflict, part of you yearning to create, another part holding back with judgments or practical excuses. The cards showed how this block ripples outward, dimming joy in other areas too. He wept for the artist within who's been waiting patiently, for the beauty that's not being born because the channel is clogged. Yet hope shimmered through. Gentle invitations to start small, to remove pressure, to reconnect without expectations. His emotion came from deep compassion for anyone who's ever felt creatively silenced, knowing how vital that flow is to feeling fully alive. What injustice you've suffered did he uncover that saddened him? An injustice you've endured came through clearly. Not necessarily a headline-level wrong, but something personal and unfair that left a mark, perhaps being overlooked for something you deserved, dismissed when you spoke up, or carrying consequences for someone else's actions. The clairvoyant uncovered it, and felt immediate sadness because he sensed how deeply it shook your trust in fairness, how it planted seeds of cynicism or quiet anger that still influence you. Tears for the way it made you question your value, for nights spent replaying it wondering why it happened to you. It could be workplace inequity, a betrayal masked as circumstance, or even systemic little cuts that accumulate. He cried over the powerlessness that injustice breeds, the way it forces you to swallow something bitter and keep moving. But the spread didn't leave it there. It showed your resilience in rising above, your capacity to advocate now where you couldn't before, turning pain into quiet strength. His sorrow was for every time someone suffers wrongfully and has to find their own way to peace. A universal ache he felt keenly in your story. Are you on the verge of burnout that he saw and wept over? Burnout is creeping closer than you might admit, and the clairvoyant saw the warning signs flashing brightly. Constant giving without replenishing, pushing through fatigue like it's normal, responsibilities piling higher while energy sinks lower. He wept because he felt how thin the margin is right now, how you're running on fumes and still trying to keep everything together. It's the classic picture. Smiling on the outside while inside the tank is almost empty, sleep disrupted, enthusiasm fading, small things irritating more than they should. Tears came from sensing the cost. Physical strain, emotional numbness, the fear that if you stop, everything will collapse. He picked up on the guilt you might feel about needing rest, the belief that slowing down equals failing. The cards urged gentleness, boundaries, delegation, actual downtime without apology. His emotion overflowed from empathy for how society glorifies busyness until bodies and spirits break, and how often the strongest people are the ones closest to collapse without realizing it. Yet he also saw recovery possible, a return to balance if you listen to the signals now rather than later. What hidden talent you're wasting made the clairvoyant tear up. A hidden talent is being underused, something you're genuinely gifted at that rarely sees daylight. Perhaps an intuitive ability, a way with words, mechanical skill, empathy that could guide others, or artistic flair that comes effortlessly when allowed. The clairvoyant teared up because he glimpsed how naturally it flows for you in rare moments, yet how consistently it's sidelined by doubt, time constraints, or fear of judgment. He felt the waste like a missed symphony, beautiful notes never played to their full potential, tears for the joy it could bring you and others if given room, for the fulfillment waiting on the other side of courage. It might be something you once loved as a child but dropped, or a skill others notice in you more than you do yourself. The spread showed sparks of it breaking through occasionally, reminding you it's still there, alive. He cried for the part of your soul that's starving for expression through this gift, and for how close you are to reclaiming it. Hope lingered in the reading, small invitations to practice without pressure, to share without perfection, slowly bringing that talent back into the light where it belongs. Is there a friendship fading away that filled him with sorrow? A friendship is indeed fading, not with fireworks or fallout, but with the slow drift of less contact, shorter replies, mismatched priorities that pull you apart naturally. The clairvoyant felt deep sorrow over it because he sensed the genuine bond that once existed, the shared laughter and support now turning into polite distance. Tears came as he tuned into your awareness of the change, the quiet hurt of realizing someone who's been important is occupying less space, the mix of missing them and accepting it's not the same anymore. It's bittersweet. Gratitude for what was, grief for what's slipping away, without drama to blame. He wept for the impermanence of connections, how even good friendships can ebb when life paths diverge. The cards didn't show malice or betrayal, just evolution, and that made it sadder somehow. No villain, just change. Yet there's softness too, memories that stay warm, potential for occasional reconnection without forcing closeness. His emotion flowed from feeling how precious real friendship is, and how achingly human it feels when one starts to fade despite our best efforts to hold on.